Hey amazing people, welcome to my channel. If you're seeing my channel for the first time, you are welcome. My name is Julie Rag, and if you're my returning subscriber, you're also welcome. So today I'm going to be showing you how I achieved this blouse you're seeing. I got the inspiration from the internet. The other idea is from me, so I'm going to be showing you how I made the pattern. So I'm dividing this video into two. One for the pattern drafting and the second one is going to be for the sewing. Okay, so we are starting with the pattern drafting. So if you want to make this dress or the blouse, or keep your pattern, let's get started. Okay, on the table I have all my tools ready, my pattern paper, my ruler, I have my paper scissors, my two of my marker pen that I'm going to be using. So the first thing first I'm going to start with is to create a starting point. Okay, so this starting point is going to become my shoulder measurement. So this is what I usually do all the time when I'm going to draft a pattern. If you have been watching my tutorial, you should see that I always do this. Okay, so the first thing now I'm going to do is to create a starting point. So once I'm done creating the starting point, I'm going to create a let's say a guideline for the center front. I usually do this also so that even though if I have any design I need to do from the front, I should be able to pull off something. So that is why I always keep allowance at my front pattern. Okay, so if you also have this same habit, you should do the same thing. Otherwise, if your pattern or your pattern paper is straight, there is no need for you to keep allowance. Okay, yeah, this is optional. So once I'm done connecting this line, that is the center front line, I'm going to be imputing my measurement. My first is going to be my shoulder measurement. My shoulder is 14 divided by 2 is 7 inches. So that is where my 7 inches is. So the next measurement now I'm going to be taking is my vertical measurement. I'm going to be placing my tape from the shoulder line, mark it down to where my bust line is 9.5 inches. Okay. So what you're going to do, you need to find out where your bust line is. Place your tape from the shoulder and take it to where your nipple stops. So that will be your bust line. So still on the shoulder line, I'm going to leave my tape right there. I'm going to be taking my under bust measurement, which is 12.5. From my shoulder to my under bust is 12.5. From my shoulder to my waistline is 16 inches plus 1 inch. Okay, I added 1 inch to my waistline, which is 17 inches. So right now I'm going to repeat all this measurement so that I can have a accurate line. Remember, we are making a blouse, not dress, so you need to add additional 1 inch to your waistline. Okay, so once I'm done, I'm going to get my French cuff roller to connect all this marking to make it visible so that you know where all the lines they are. Okay, so once I'm done with the to connect the lines, I'm going to impute my chest line. So before you minus your 1 inch for shoulder slope, take the full measurement from the shoulder to where your chest line is. Okay, so mine is 8 inches. Okay, from my shoulder to my chest line, that is from the shoulder line to my chest line, is 8 inches in total. So that is what I'm doing right now. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to impute my half of my shoulder measurement for that where I mark my 8 inches to stop. Okay, so the reason why I'm doing this so that I can have I can know exactly where I'm going to be creating my chest line. Okay, so yeah, that is what I'm doing. So from that part where I mark my 7 inches or my half of my shoulder measurement, I'm going to start by connecting it from that point. Okay, make sure you arrange it well so that you have a perfect line. So now I'm going to connect it from that point outward like so. That is my uh chest line. So now I'm not going to mark 1 inch down for the shoulder slope. So basically what we are doing now is we are making a busybody pattern. Okay, you need to make your busybody pattern first before you achieve this style. Okay, you cannot cheat this particular style. You need to do your busybody pattern. So I'm going to impute my neck width, which is 2.5 inches. Okay, my neck width is 2.5 inches. So now I'm going to now connect that from that 2.5 inches. I'm going to connect it to meet with that 1 inch shoulder slope that I dropped. Okay, remember I dropped 1 inch. So right there where the marker is, where I draw out. So now I'm going to place my tape right there, or my ruler, to connect the armhole line. So basically this is my armhole line. Okay, please pay attention. If you don't understand what I'm saying, that is why I'm not fast forwarding this video, so that you understand exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so right now I'm going to place my tape there to get the midpoint from that line. So I have 3.5 inches. So from that 3.5 inches mark, I'm going to mark 0.5 inches inward for the curving. Okay, so though we don't need this particular kind of, yeah, we are going to need it. Let me know. So we are going to need it. So to get my armhole curve, I need to impute my my bust line, my half of my bust circumference. My bust is 34 divided by 4 is 8.5 inches. So I also add additional 1.5 inches for joining allowance. Okay, so right now I'm going to make my curving. Okay, so I'm going to place my my French curve roller like so, and then I'm going to connect it like that, and then I'm going to turn it round. So I'm going to make sure I get this mark from that point where I mark my 8.5 inches to meet with the 0.5 inches mark, just like that. I hope you understand this explanation. So now that I'm done, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to level this. Okay, so now I'm going to start from my under bust, or from my bust line. So at this point, you're going to determine how much cleavage you're going to review. So I'm going to be marking 3.5 inches upward, just like you see me doing. Okay, I don't want too much review, and also I don't want it to be too high. So 3.5 inches is okay for me. So right now I'm going to be connecting this line to create a new chest line. All right, so this is my new chest line, and I'm going to label it NC new chest line. All right, so the next thing now we are going to be working for is to impute my nipple to nipple point measurement, which is 7 divided by 2 is 3.5 inches. So I'm going to be marking 3.5 inches right there. So I'm going to get my French curve roller and place it like so, so that I can get a straight line. All right. So now that I'm done connecting the line, so this is going to be where I'm going to be working with my dart. So from my under bust there, I'm going to be marking 0.75 on both sides. Okay, so also bear it in mind that this dress, it doesn't have a pattern. I did not pattern this dress. I did not use any interface on this dress. Okay, so I took 0.75 on the waistline also. Okay, so the total dart intake that I took on both the underbust and the waist is 1.5 inch in total. Okay, on the both side, on the underbust is 1.5 and the waist is 1.5. So for my bust line, I'm going to mark 1 inch below. Okay, so I mark 1 inch below right there. So I'm going to be connecting just like you see me doing. Okay, I'm going to connect all those dots to create my dart. So I'm going to get my French curve ruler and place it like that, and then connect the two lines like so. Okay. So once I'm done, I'm going to be taking my, that is the width of my square neckline. You know the neckline is square, right? So I mark 5 inches. So up to my shoulder line, I'm going to be marking 1.5 inches. So that is how wide I want my sleeves to be, or yeah, how wide I want my sleeve to be. So from that 5 inches mark that I mark, I'm going to connect it from that 1.5 inch to meet to the 5 inches that I took from the chest line. Okay, so don't forget, this is the chest line, the new chest line. Okay, the new chest line I mark 5 inches there. Okay, then while the shoulder line I mark 1.5 inches, then make the connection. So I extend this line upward because when we are going to cut this on the fabric, we still need to add another additional 10 inches because the is cut together sleeves. You don't need to cut off the sleeves, okay? The sleeve is cut together. So from my chest line now, I'm marking I mark 0.5 inch on both sides for bust tightening. So I'm going to get my French curve ruler and place it like that. Okay, make sure you don't get it to look too pointed so that it will not look too obvious. Okay, so at first I used 0.25, but I later did a correction. Okay, so I realized that if I taking that 0.25 is not going to give me exactly what I want. So I later went back and I took 0.5 for the bust tightening on both sides. So that means the total that I took from the chest line, it was 1 inch. So while I was working, I realized that the dart intake I took from the new chest line, it was small, and also for the bust tightening, right? So for here I used a 0.5 inch. Okay, I did a correction on only one side, but when I was cutting it on the fabric, okay, when I was cutting it on the fabric, I actually used a 0.5 inch on both sides. Okay, please pay attention on this. If you want to have that same result that I have, you're going to be taking 0.5 inch on both sides, just like you see me doing. Okay, so here I did not do the correction from the other side, which is this the center front I'm working on right now. I didn't add the 0.5, or I didn't add the 0.25 back, so I just make the line bold here. But when you're going to cut it, or if you're making your pattern, make sure you take 0.25 or 0.5 inch on both sides for bust tightening. And also remember, you are not going to add the allowance back to your pattern. Okay, you're not adding the allowance for the bust tightening. You don't need to add it back. So right now I'm going to be adding start marking my rhombus circumference, like my horizontal measurement. I'm going to be imputing my horizontal measurement. So I'm going to start from my bust line. My bust line is 34 inches divided by 4 is 8.5 inches. I'm going to add additional 1.5 inches for the joining allowance. Okay, so yeah, that is the total of 10 inches. Okay, so moving on to my underbust line. My underbust is 29 inches divided by 4 is 7.25. Okay, I'm going to mark 7.25 right there, and then move on to the dart intake I took is 1.5, so I need to replace that. Okay, so I'm going to mark the 1.5 right there, and then I need to add another additional 1.5 inches because we are going to be this blouse has 2 darts. Okay, so we need to have that another 1.5 inch so that we can have a space to create 2 darts. Okay, so my waist is 28 divided by 4 is 7 inches plus 1.5 inch for the dart intake, that then plus 1.5 again, additional 1.5, just like I did on the underbust. The same thing I'm doing for the waist. Okay, so now I'm going to connect all these markings just like you see me doing. Okay, I'm going to place my tape like so, and then I'm going to connect the markings like that. All right, so I hope this explanation is clear for you to follow. So the next thing now, we need to find the midpoint between the underbust. So we are done from the whole of the body, so now we need to impute the second dart from the side. Okay, so find the midpoint between your underbust and the second dart leg. Okay, so that is the midpoint. I have a total of 6 inches there, so that means divided by 2 is 3 inches, so 3 inches on both sides. So now you're going to place your French curve roller or your ruler, place it like so to create a straight line. Don't worry about the waistline, so just place it there. Make sure you place it exactly where the midpoint from the underbust is, and then connect a straight line upward. Okay, so once I'm done, I'm going to be taking a dart intake of 0.5 inch on both sides. Remember the first dart we took 0.75, but this one is going to be 0.5 inch on both sides. So the total dart intake is going to be 1 inch. Okay, so the reason being is that even though if you do not pad this pattern, if you don't use a breast part on it or breast cup, you're still going to have that snatch effect on the underbust. That is the whole idea. Okay, so you're going to connect it just like you see me doing, from the waistline up to that point to the underbust, and also take it all the way up to your armhole. Okay, just like that. So remember, when you're going to be cutting it, you need to add your joining allowance on that place so that you can join back those ones that you take out. Okay, so the next thing now I'm going to do, once I'm done from here, I have impute my second dart, and yeah, so the next thing now we are going to be working is to find out if our measurement is correct. Okay, so to find out the how much allowance you need to add back. So I have 2.5 inches there. Follow from the 2.5 inches, I move it back to the second dart leg, and then from the second dart leg I move it back to the front dart. So I have a total of 7.75 right there. Okay, 7.75 right there, which is good because my underbust circumference is 7.25, which is divided by 4 is 7.25, right? So right now what I'm going to do now, so the only allowance that I need to add back to the side is 1 inches. Okay, so confirm your measurement like you see what I'm doing. So I'm going to repeat this process so that you understand exactly what I mean. Okay, so right now I'm placing my tape from the center front. Okay, so from that line there, I'm going to take it from there, continue from the second dart leg. Okay, and then also continue to the second one, which I have a 5.25 from right there. Okay, 5.25, and then proceed from that 5.25. I take it all the way back to that side, which is 7.75. Okay, 7.75. So which is okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be adding allowance of 1 inch on the side. Okay, so that 1 inch I'm going to add from the side is going to be more than enough for me to join my lining and to join my blouse together. So before I add the 1 inch allowance, I need to work on my back effect, like from that back. Is it BQ? I'll be back in back. Gosh, I don't know how this is called, but please pardon me. Okay, yeah, that extension. So here on the pattern, while I was drafting, I used 1.5 inches, but while I was cutting on my fabric, I used 2.5 inches because this pattern, I actually remake the pattern, but it's still the same thing that I did. There is no different. The only different adjustment that I did, it was the back effect. Okay, so from the side I mark 1 inch upward. Okay, I didn't mark it down, I mark it upward. So from that 1 inch there, I place my cuff from that part, and then I place it back to where I mark 1.5 inches. Okay, just like you see me doing. Okay, so I'm going to connect this part like this to create that curve, like that inset that you're seeing. All right, so like I was saying, the adjustment I did, it was from the chest line. I used 0.5 inch on both sides for the chest tightening. So for the waistline where I create the basset inset, I used 2.5 inches. So now I'm adding my sewing allowance, which is 1 inch from the side. After we have added 3 inches in total, the east allowance, to create the second dart, we still have to add another additional 1 inch. So that means the total allowances that we added to make this pattern is 4 inches in total. Okay, so just like you see me doing, I'm adding my joining allowance from the shoulder, the armholes part. Okay, so I'm just adding the joining allowance round like you see me doing. So I will advise you to add your joining allowance while you are drafting on your pattern, so that you can correct all the mistakes that you're supposed to make while you are cutting on the fabric. Okay, so add your joining allowance there, and also remember from the sleeve you are going to add additional 10 inches or more. It depends how long you want your strap to be. It depends how long you want your sleeve, that you want to have excess from the shoulder at the end of the day, right? When you want to tie it, it depends. So for me, I added 10 inches, which was okay for me. And here I'm indicate that you're going to be cutting this part on fold. Okay, you're going to be cutting it on fold. So here is my pattern, my front pattern, which is pattern 1, and also it's going to be cut on fold. Also, don't forget to add your joining allowance, which is 0.5 inch on all the part that you cut out. Okay, so I'm also indicate here that this is my front pattern 2. This is going to be cut times 2. Okay, that is the front pattern 3. Also is going to be cut times it's going to be cut times 2. So bear it in mind that the front pattern, your front pattern is 5 pieces. Okay, the center front, which is being folded into 2, being cut on fold, and then the second pattern and the third pattern. So the front pattern is 5 pieces, while the back pattern is 6 pieces. Okay, because the demarcation is because of the zip allowance. I hope this explanation was clear to you. If you find it difficult, please leave your comment below or rewatch this video so that you can understand exactly what happens here. Okay, so once I'm done from here, we are going to move on to the to create the back pattern. All right, yep. So I'm going to be adding my joining allowance here. Okay, so once I'm done from here, I'm going to move on to the back pattern. I'm also going to list out the difference between the back and the front. Okay, so remember I mark 1 inch from my front side upward before I make that curve. So that means from the side is 16 inches, while for the center front is 17 inches, right? So that is the difference between the front and the back. So I'm going to be marking 16 inches from my shoulder to my waistline. 16 inches, that is the difference from the front. So from the back, the difference from the back and the front, I'm going to be keeping allowance of 2 inches from the zip allowance. Okay, the back has zip allowance, so yeah, 2 inches has to be kept for the zip allowance. And also the pattern doesn't have a bust line. Okay, you have to know that. So basically this is what I did for the back. So the line that is missing here is my bust line. So the line that is here is my chest line, my under bust line, and my waistline. So for my under bust line, I'm taking a dart intake of 0.75, just like I did for the front. It's still the same thing. Okay, the same thing I did for the front is also the same thing I'm doing for the back. So the only difference is that the back doesn't have a bust line. So I'm also going to do a chest tightening. So the dart intake I'm taking from the chest tightening is 0.25 for the back, okay? So, and I'm marking 0.25 on both sides. So the total dart intake I took from the chest line is of 0.5 inch. So from the chest line I mark 1 inch below. So right now I'm going to connect all this marking from my waistline to meet to my underbust, okay, just like you see me doing, okay. Also remember that the back, you don't need to use the curve ruler to create the curve, just like you see me doing. Just use a straight part and connect all your markings, just like you see me doing, okay. Please pay attention to this. If you really want to achieve this nice beautiful dress, please pay attention to it, okay. So what I actually did, I did not follow up. I was supposed to connect it to meet 0.25, connect it to meet with that 1 inch that I mark, right? But I did something here. I just connected straight ahead, just like you see me doing, okay. So I use a curve pad, not too curve, okay, not so curve, but a little bit curving, just like you see. So I connected. I passed the part where I mark the part where I mark 1 inch. Please, I hope you're understanding my explanation. If you do, leave your comment below. So let me know that all this talking, I'm not just talking it in vain, okay? So just like I did for the front, I'm going to be adding back the ones that I take out. I'm going to replace it. Also mark my underbust circumference divided by 4, and so on and so forth. Okay, the same step I did for the front is what I'm doing right now. So there is nothing different here to be done, okay. So basically on this pattern, like I said, that I'm going to be dividing it into 2 sections. So this section here is the pattern drafting. So the next video you're going to be seeing is going to be the sewing tutorial, the cut and sewing tutorial, okay. So yeah. So just like I did for the front, find the midpoint of this particular part, okay. Find the midpoint and get your ruler or your French curve ruler and connect it straight from that part to meet to the chest line, okay. So there is no difference on what I did from the front. So we are just creating a second dart like we create for the back, okay. If you actually want to have this effect, if you want to have this look or achieve this dress, so this is what you should do. Then impute your dart intake, which is 0.5 inch on both sides, like I did for the front, and then you're going to connect it to connect the markings. So once I'm done, I'm going to work on my zip allowance. I'm going to be taking 1 inch for the waistline, and from the chest line I'm going to be taking 1.5. The reason I'm taking 1 inch for the waistline is because I want to have eliminate that zipper bulge, okay. So I'm labeling this zip allowance, okay. So move on to the chest line. From my shoulder I'm going to mark 1.5 inch. Also for the chest line I'm marking 5 inch, just like I did for the front line, okay. So I'm going to connect from that 5 inches mark to the 1.5 inch for the shoulder, and also I'm going to extend the line up so that I can be able to add another additional 10 inch to this sleeves, okay. So now that I'm done, I'm going to drop this from the back line. I'm going to drop it with 1 inch, okay. I'm dropping it with 1 inch. That is why you're seeing the way I place my curve. So initially that is my new back line, okay. So yeah, that is it. So I'm adding back my 1 inch joining allowance from the side, okay. So yeah, that is it. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start by cutting all the cut my back and my front together, okay. Let's do this. Alright guys, so we're coming to the end of the tutorial. So the next tutorial that is going to come is going to be the sewing, the cutting and the sewing tutorial, the cutting of the fabric and the sewing. Okay, so if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, I think this is the time for you to do that. And don't forget to turn up your post notifications so you will not miss out when the tutorial will be dropping. Okay, so also help me share the video, give the video a thumbs up if you learned something new from this channel. Leave your comment below, let me know what you think. Okay, if you have find anything difficult, also let me know, or you can also rewatch it again so that you will understand exactly what I did. Okay, so this is it. Thank you so much for watching. I will be seeing you. Stay tuned.